Story 1. I've been a barista at Been There Done That Cafe for nearly 3 years now. It's a cozy little independent coffee shop in a busy downtown area, and we pride ourselves on our seasonal specialties. But nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, could have prepared me for what happened last October during the height of pumpkin spice season. It was a regular Friday morning, and we were slammed as usual. The line stretched almost to the door, full of people desperate for their caffeine fix before work. My coworker Jamie and I were moving as fast as we could, but we were definitely in the weeds. Around 8:30 am, I noticed we were running dangerously low on our pumpkin spice syrup. This was a problem because it was our most popular seasonal flavor, and the delivery truck with our new supply wasn't scheduled until Monday. I mentioned this to our shift manager, who just shrugged and said we'd have to tell customers when we ran out. By 9:15 am, the inevitable happened. A regular customer ordered the last pumpkin spice latte, and we were officially out. Jamie put up a small sign by the register that read, "Sold out of pumpkin spice until Monday. Sorry for the inconvenience." That's when she walked in. She was dressed in designer workout clothes, had perfectly styled hair despite supposedly coming from the gym, and wore oversized sunglasses that she didn't remove even though she was indoors. She cut the line and went straight to the counter, ignoring the protests from the other customers. "Woman, I need a venti pumpkin spice latte, extra hot, with almond milk and 2 extra shots of espresso. Make it quick, I'm in a hurry." Me, "I'm sorry, ma'am, but you'll need to wait in line like everyone else." She looked around as if noticing the line for the first time, then sighed dramatically. "Woman, fine, but make it quick." She reluctantly took her place at the end of the line. I could see her tapping her foot impatiently, checking her watch every 30 seconds. When she finally reached the counter 15 minutes later, she didn't even look up from her phone. "Woman, venti pumpkin spice latte, extra hot, almond milk, 2 extra shots." Me, "I'm very sorry, but we're actually out of pumpkin spice syrup until Monday. We have several other seasonal flavors I could recommend." She slowly lowered her phone and stared at me as if I just told her I ran over her dog. "Woman, what do you mean, you're out?" Me, "We've run out of the pumpkin spice syrup. It's been really popular, and our next delivery isn't until Monday. I can recommend our maple cinnamon or—" Woman, "No, that's not acceptable. I come here every Friday for my pumpkin spice latte. I drove 20 minutes to get here." I tried to be sympathetic. Me, "I understand that's frustrating. Would you like to try something else today? The maple cinnamon is quite similar." Woman, "No, I want what I always get. Check in the back. You must have more somewhere." Jamie stepped in to help. Jamie, "I promise we've checked everywhere. We're completely out until our delivery on Monday." Woman, "This is ridiculous. I want to speak to a manager." Our manager, Diane, heard the commotion and came over. Diane, "Hi, I'm the manager. How can I help?" Woman, "Your employees are refusing to make me a pumpkin spice latte. This is completely unacceptable customer service." Diane, "I apologize for the inconvenience, but we really are out of pumpkin spice syrup. It's been extremely popular this season." Woman, "Well, then you should order more. This is basic supply and demand. Do you people not understand how to run a business?" By now, everyone in the shop was watching the scene unfold. The line had grown even longer, and people were starting to get annoyed at the delay. Diane, "Again, I apologize. We do have more ordered, but it won't arrive until Monday. Can I offer you a free drink of a different flavor today?" Woman, "No, I specifically came here for pumpkin spice. This is false advertising." She pointed dramatically at our seasonal menu board, which did indeed advertise pumpkin spice drinks, though the small, "while supplies last" disclaimer at the bottom seemed to escape her notice. Diane, "Ma'am, we're not falsely advertising. We simply ran out. It happens sometimes with popular items." Woman, "Well, what am I supposed to do now? My entire morning is ruined." The man waiting in line behind her sighed loudly. Man in line. Lady, just order something else or leave. Some of us have places to be. This seemed to push her over the edge. She turned to face the entire cafe. Woman, do you all think this is acceptable? To advertise something and then not have it? I drove 20 minutes for this. The cafe fell silent. Everyone stared at her, clearly uncomfortable. Then, an older woman spoke up from one of the tables. Older woman, dear, it's just coffee. They've offered you alternatives. Woman, it's not just coffee. It's the principle. This is terrible customer service. Then she turned back to Diane. Woman, I want everyone else here to leave. Clear this place out and find me some pumpkin spice syrup. I know you have some somewhere. There was a collective gasp in the cafe, followed by nervous laughter. Surely she couldn't be serious. But she was. Diane, ma'am, I can't ask our other customers to leave. That would be completely inappropriate. Woman, fine. Then I'm calling my lawyer. This is breach of contract. You advertised a product you don't have. She pulled out her phone and actually started dialing. Diane, trying to keep her cool. Ma'am, there's no contract involved in a coffee order. I understand you're disappointed, but… Woman, stop talking. I'm on the phone with my attorney. She held up her hand in Diane's face while pretending to talk to someone on the phone. I say pretending because I'm pretty sure no one had actually answered. Woman, yes, Mark? I'm at that coffee shop I told you about. They're refusing to serve me what they advertise. Yes. I think we should sue for false advertising and emotional distress. By now, several customers had taken out their phones and were recording the meltdown. The line had completely stopped moving as everyone watched the spectacle. A young man in a business suit spoke up. Businessman, actually, I'm an attorney, and that's not how false advertising works. They're out of stock, not refusing to serve you. Woman, stay out of this. You're probably not even a real lawyer. She returned to her phone call. Woman, Mark, there's a man here claiming to be a lawyer. Can we sue him for impersonating legal counsel too? Diane had finally had enough and gestured to Jamie to call the non-emergency police line. Meanwhile, she tried one more time with the woman. Diane, ma'am, I've offered you alternatives and a free drink. I cannot make pumpkin spice appear out of thin air. You need to either order something else or leave, because you're disturbing our other customers. Woman, I will not leave until I get what I came for. This is America, and I have rights as a consumer. She suddenly ended her call and started addressing the entire cafe again. Woman, everyone listen up. This establishment is engaging in false advertising. They're taking advantage of loyal customers. We should all demand refunds. An awkward silence followed. Then someone in the back called out. Voice from back, but most of us haven't even ordered yet, so there's nothing to refund. This logical point seemed to further enrage her. Woman, then you're all sheep, willing to accept this terrible service. At that moment, the door opened and 2 police officers walked in. Jamie must have called them earlier than I realized. They approached the counter calmly. Police Officer 1, is there a problem here? Diane, this customer is upset that we're out of a particular flavor and is disturbing our business. Woman, that's not true. They're false advertising. I want to file a complaint. Police Officer 2, ma'am, being out of a menu item isn't a crime. The manager has asked you to order something else or leave. Woman, I have the right to be here. I'm a paying customer. Police Officer 1, actually, you haven't paid for anything yet, from what I can see. Woman, because they won't serve me what I want. Police Officer 2, ma'am, private businesses have the right to refuse service, especially when customers are being disruptive. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Woman, this is discrimination. I'm going to sue this place and the police department. She started recording with her phone, pointing it at the officers and Diane. Woman, I want all your names and badge numbers. My lawyer will be contacting you. Police Officer 1, ma'am, you need to leave now, or we'll have to escort you out. Woman, don't touch me. I know my rights. The officers exchanged a look. Then each gently took one of her arms. Police officer 2, please come with us, ma'am. As they led her toward the door, she continued shouting, Woman, you'll be hearing from my lawyer. I'm going to own this place by next week. I'll make sure none of you ever work in food service again. The entire cafe watched in stunned silence as she was escorted outside. Through the window, we could see her continuing to yell at the officers in the parking lot. Once she was gone, the whole place erupted in conversation. Several people approached the counter to tell us they were sorry we had to deal with that. One regular even joked that we should rename our pumpkin spice the Karen Spice Meltdown in her honor. The next week, our delivery arrived as scheduled, and pumpkin spice was back on the menu. But the woman never returned to our cafe. 3 weeks later, however, Diane received a letter from an actual lawyer threatening to sue for emotional distress, public humiliation, and false advertising. Diane forwarded it to the company's legal team, who responded with a simple cease and desist letter and copies of the many viral videos of the incident that had been posted online. We never heard from the woman again. But to this day, whenever we run out of a popular item, we all share a look and whisper, at least it's not pumpkin spice season. Story 2. I never thought I'd have a story worthy of posting in this subreddit, but here we are. For context, I'm a veteran who served 3 tours in Afghanistan. During my last deployment, I was injured by an improvised explosive device that cost me both of my legs below the knee. I've been in a wheelchair for the past 4 years, though I'm working with prosthetics in physical therapy. This happened last weekend at a local community fair in my hometown. It was the first big event since I'd moved back, and I was excited to reconnect with old friends and enjoy some normalcy. The fair had a small outdoor amphitheater where local bands were performing throughout the day. I arrived early for the afternoon show because I know how difficult it can be to find accessible seating. The amphitheater had a designated area for wheelchairs on a flat section near the front, which was perfect since it gave me an unobstructed view without blocking anyone behind me. I positioned myself in the wheelchair section about 30 minutes before the performance was set to begin. As showtime approached, the area filled up quickly. People were finding their seats, and the excitement was building. The wheelchair section was almost at capacity with about 5 of us there, along with our companions. That's when she appeared. This woman, I'll call her Karen, marched down to our section with the confidence of someone who owned the place. She was probably in her mid-40s, designer sunglasses perched on her head, carrying a large purse and what looked like an overpriced lemonade. She scanned the area with a frown, apparently unhappy that all the premium seats were taken. Then she spotted me and made a beeline in my direction. Karen, excuse me, I need to sit here. Me. Sorry, but this is the wheelchair section. There are some open seats a few rows back. She looked at me like I'd just spoken in a foreign language. Karen, but I want to sit in the front. Can't you move? I gestured to my wheelchair. Me. This is the designated wheelchair section. I can't exactly sit in the regular seats. She rolled her eyes dramatically. Karen, well, can't you just get up for a little while? I have a bad back, and I need a good seat. At first, I thought she might be joking. She couldn't possibly be asking what I thought she was asking. But her impatient expression confirmed she was dead serious. Me. Ma'am, I can't just get up, I'm a double amputee. I lifted the hem of my pants slightly to show her my situation. Most people would be mortified at this point and apologize profusely. Not Karen. Karen. Well, you look strong enough. You could sit in a regular chair for one show. It's not like you're completely paralyzed. My friend Tom, who had come to the fair with me, stepped forward. He's not usually one to get involved in confrontations, but even he couldn't believe what he was hearing. Tom, are you serious right now? He literally cannot stand. Karen, everyone can stand if they try hard enough. I have a medical condition too, you know. My back is killing me from walking around all day. By this point, people around us were starting to notice the commotion. A couple sitting nearby exchanged shocked glances. Karen, look, I just need to sit down. You've probably been sitting all day anyway. That comment made my blood boil, but I tried to remain calm. Me. Yes, I have been sitting all day. That's kind of how wheelchairs work. Karen, don't get smart with me. I'm in pain here. You young people are so disrespectful these days. An older gentleman in the row behind us stood up. Older man. Young lady, do you realize you're asking a disabled veteran to give up his wheelchair spot for you? Karen, how do you know he's a veteran? He could be faking it for special treatment. My friend Tom lost it at that point. Tom, faking it? Faking it? He lost his legs serving our country. The crowd around us had gone silent, everyone now fully tuned into the drama unfolding. Karen seemed completely oblivious to the hostile atmosphere she had created. Karen, well, the military was his choice, wasn't it? Nobody forced him to sign up. I pay taxes that fund veterans' benefits, so technically, I'm his boss. There was an audible gasp from several people nearby. A woman a few feet away stood up, her face flushed with anger. Woman from crowd, did you seriously just say that to a man who sacrificed his legs for your freedom? What is wrong with you? Karen tried to backpedal, suddenly aware that the crowd was turning against her. Karen, I didn't mean it like that. I'm just in a lot of pain and need to sit down. There are no other seats with a good view. Another man called out from a few rows back. Man from crowd, take my seat, I'll stand. Several other people immediately offered their seats as well. Karen's face reddened, but somehow she still didn't get it. Karen, but those aren't front row seats. I want to be close to the stage. An elderly woman who I later learned was a retired nurse approached Karen. Elderly woman. Young lady, if you have a legitimate medical need for special seating, you should have requested accommodations in advance or brought documentation. Otherwise, you need to find an available seat like everyone else. Karen, I shouldn't need a doctor's note to prove I'm in pain. Look, I just want him to move. It's not that complicated. A fair staff member finally noticed the disturbance and came over. Staff member, is there a problem here? Before I could answer, about 5 different people from the crowd started explaining the situation to the staff member, their voices overlapping in outrage. Karen tried to speak over them. Karen, these people are discriminating against me because of my back pain. I just need a place to sit. The staff member, a young woman probably in her 20s, looked stunned for a moment. Then she regained her composure. Staff member, ma'am, this section is clearly marked for wheelchair users. I can help you find another seat, or if you have a disability requiring special accommodation, I can check if we have any other accessible options available. Karen, but I want this spot. It has the best view. Staff member, that's not possible. This gentleman is properly seated in the designated area for his needs. Karen, this is ridiculous. I'm going to report all of you for discrimination. She turned to me again. Karen, you could at least offer to share. I could sit on the armrest of your wheelchair. The absurdity of her request left me speechless. The crowd, however, had plenty to say. Someone shouted, "Are you kidding me?" Another person called out, "Show some respect." The chorus of disapproval grew louder. A man wearing a Vietnam veteran cap stepped forward from a few rows back. Vietnam veteran. Young lady, I fought in Vietnam, and this young man served in Afghanistan. We didn't lose our friends and sacrifice our bodies so entitled people like you could harass disabled veterans at community events. The crowd erupted in applause. Karen looked around, finally seeming to understand that she had become the villain in this scenario. The staff member took advantage of the moment. Staff member, ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to come with me now. We can find you another seat or discuss a refund if necessary. Karen, this isn't fair. I just wanted to sit down. Another staff member, this one wearing a security shirt, had arrived. Security? Ma'am, we've received multiple complaints about your behavior. You need to come with us now, or we'll have to escort you from the premises. Realizing she was fighting a losing battle, Karen finally stormed off with the staff members, throwing one last glare in my direction as if I had somehow orchestrated the whole thing. As she left, the crowd around us broke into another round of applause. Several people came up to thank me for my service, and the band even dedicated their opening song to all the veterans in the audience today. The rest of the concert was fantastic, and I ended up meeting a lot of kind, supportive people from my community. But I still can't believe someone would demand that a person in a wheelchair should just get up so they could have a better view. The entitlement of some people truly knows no bounds. Story 3. For context, I bought my house about 2 years ago. It's nothing fancy, but it has a decent-sized backyard with a swimming pool that the previous owners installed. The pool was actually a major selling point for me. I grew up without one and always wanted my own. I've put a lot of work into maintaining it, and it's become my little sanctuary. My neighborhood is pretty quiet. Most people keep to themselves, which is how I like it. I've met a few neighbors, but I wouldn't say I'm close with any of them. I hadn't even spoken to the woman who lives 3 houses down until this incident. It was Saturday afternoon, and the temperature was hovering around 95 degrees. I was enjoying a rare day off by floating in my pool with a cold drink and a good book. My yard is fenced in for privacy, not a tall fence, but enough that you'd have to deliberately look over it to see in. I heard my gate rattling, and then the distinct sound of it opening. I looked up to see a woman I vaguely recognized from the neighborhood walking into my yard. She was wearing a swimsuit cover-up and had 2 kids with her, both carrying pool floaties. For a second, I wondered if I'd somehow forgotten inviting someone over. Me? Can I help you? The woman looked at me like I was the one who was out of place. In my own yard. Woman, we're here to swim. It's too hot today, and you have the only pool on the block. I sat up on my float, completely confused. Me, I'm sorry, but this is my private pool. I don't open it to the neighborhood. The woman put her bag down on one of my patio chairs and started unpacking towels. Woman, don't be silly. It's nearly 100 degrees out. You can't expect people to suffer when you have all this cool water going to waste. Her kids were already dipping their feet in at the shallow end, and I was getting increasingly uncomfortable. Me, I'm really sorry, but I don't know you, and this is my private property. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. The woman's face instantly changed from casual entitlement to outright anger. Woman, are you serious right now? My kids have been looking forward to swimming all day. We walked all the way over here in this heat. Me, I understand it's hot, but this is my home. There's a public pool at the community center about 10 minutes away. Woman, the community center charges admission. Besides, why should we have to go all the way there when there's a perfectly good pool right here? It's not like you're using all of it. I was genuinely baffled. What did she mean I wasn't using all of it? It's not a public resource. Me, actually, I am using it. It's my pool, and I'm swimming in it right now. And I pay the mortgage, the water bill, and for all the chemicals and maintenance. Woman, well, that's just selfish. We're neighbors. Neighbors are supposed to share. By this point, I was getting out of the pool. The relaxing afternoon I had planned was completely ruined. Me, look, I've never even met you before today. I don't open my pool to the public. I need you to take your kids and leave my property now. The woman crossed her arms and didn't budge. Woman, my kids are already in the water. We're not leaving now. I looked over, and sure enough, her kids had fully gotten into the shallow end while we were arguing. Me, please get your children out of my pool immediately, or I'll have to call the police for trespassing. I didn't want to make a scene, but she was giving me no choice. The woman laughed like I was joking. Woman, you would call the police on children? For swimming? On a hot day? What kind of monster are you? Me, I'm calling the police on an adult who is trespassing on private property and refusing to leave when asked. The fact that you brought children with you doesn't change that. I went inside to get my phone, half expecting her to be gone when I came back out. But no, she was setting up snacks on my patio table now, and both kids were fully swimming. I called the non-emergency police line and explained the situation. They said they'd send someone over. I went back outside to wait. The police are on their way. This is your last chance to leave voluntarily. Woman, go ahead and waste their time. They'll agree with me that during a heat wave, basic human decency means sharing your pool. I sat on the edge of my deck chair, as far away from them as possible, and waited. The entire time, she kept making comments loud enough for me to hear. Woman, some people just don't understand community. In my day, neighbors helped each other out. Must be nice to be so rich you can have a whole pool to yourself. About 15 minutes later, a police car pulled up. 2 officers came into the backyard, and I explained what had happened. The woman immediately started telling her side of the story, talking over me. Woman, officer, I just brought my kids to cool off during this dangerous heat wave, and this neighbor is being completely unreasonable. There should be a law about sharing pools during emergencies. The older officer looked at her with the most tired expression I've ever seen. Officer, ma'am, there is a law. It's called trespassing when you enter someone's private property without permission. And it's still trespassing, even if you think you have a good reason. Woman, but it's so hot. My kids could get heat stroke. Officer, the city has opened cooling centers for the heat wave. The community center has a public pool. Your children are your responsibility, not your neighbors. The woman was getting increasingly frustrated as she realized the police weren't taking her side. Woman, so you're saying that during a heat emergency, people with pools can just hoard them all to themselves while others suffer? Officer, I'm saying that private property is private property, ma'am. Now please gather your things and exit the premises. The woman finally started packing up, grumbling the whole time. Her kids got out of the pool, looking embarrassed. Woman, this is ridiculous. I'm going to report this to the HOA. I couldn't help but laugh at that one. We don't have an HOA in this neighborhood. The officers waited patiently while she gathered her things. Before leaving, she turned to me one last time. Woman, in the Bible, it says to love thy neighbor. Officer, the Bible also says something about not coveting thy neighbor's good. Ma'am, please keep moving. That shut her up finally. The younger officer explained that they would be issuing her a warning for trespassing, and that if she returned to my property without permission, she could be arrested. They asked if I wanted to press charges, but I declined. I just wanted the whole thing to be over. After they left, I had to shock my pool with extra chemicals because who knows what those kids might have brought in with them. My peaceful day off was completely ruined. The kicker? I found out from another neighbor that the woman doesn't even live 3 houses down. She lives on the next street over. She just saw my pool while walking by and decided it should be hers to use. I've since installed a lock on my gate and am looking into getting cameras. All because someone thought my private pool should be public property during a heat wave. The entitlement of some people never ceases to amaze me. Story 4. I've been a supervisor at JavaStop Coffee Shop for almost 2 years now. We're a small local chain with just 5 locations around the city. Most days, I love my job. I get to make fancy coffee drinks, chat with regulars, and the employee discount keeps me properly caffeinated. But some days like last Tuesday make me question my life choices. It was mid-October, and we were in full fall mode. Our seasonal menu had been out for nearly a month, featuring all the autumn favorites: maple pecan lattes, cinnamon chai, and of course, the cult favorite pumpkin spice everything. Our display case was packed with pumpkin muffins, scones, and cookies. The store was decorated with tasteful fall decor, and business was booming. Around 3 p.m., just as the afternoon rush was starting to pick up, she walked in. Later, my coworkers would simply refer to her as Pumpkin Spice Karen. She was wearing designer sunglasses pushed up on her head, carrying an oversized purse, and had that "I need to speak to your manager" haircut that's become infamous on the internet. She bypassed the line of 5 people and marched straight to the counter where my coworker Jason was taking orders. "Karen, excuse me, I need a venti pumpkin spice latte right away." "Jason, I'd be happy to take your order, ma'am, but there is a line. If you could just—" "Karen, do you know who I am? I don't have time for lines. I have an important meeting in 20 minutes, and I need my pumpkin spice fix." I was making drinks at the time, but could hear every word. Jason, bless him, remained professional. "Jason, I understand, but I need to serve these customers who were here first. It won't take long." "Karen, this is ridiculous." "Fine." She stomped to the back of the line, sighing dramatically and checking her watch every 30 seconds. When she finally reached the register, Jason greeted her with a smile that deserved an Oscar. "Jason, thank you for your patience. What can I get for you today?" "Karen, finally, I need a venti pumpkin spice latte, extra hot, extra whip, with almond milk." Jason's smile faltered slightly as he entered the order. "Jason, I'm really sorry, but we actually sold out of our pumpkin spice syrup earlier today. We're expecting a new shipment tomorrow morning. Can I interest you in one of our other fall specials? The maple pecan is very popular." I knew this was true. Our supplier had shorted us on our last delivery, and despite my manager's frantic calls, we wouldn't get more until the next day. It happens sometimes, especially with seasonal items that are in high demand. Karen stared at Jason like he just told her coffee was being outlawed. "Karen, what do you mean you're out? It's October. This is pumpkin spice season." "Jason, I know, and I'm really sorry about the inconvenience." "Karen, sorry doesn't get me my pumpkin spice latte, does it? This is false advertising. You have pumpkin spice all over your menu boards and displays." By this point, I decided to step in. I moved over to the register. Hi, I'm the supervisor on duty. Is there a problem?" "Karen, yes, there's a problem. Your incompetent staff has allowed you to run out of pumpkin spice in the middle of fall. Do you know how many people come here specifically for that?" I completely understand your frustration. Unfortunately, we had a supply issue, but we'll have more tomorrow. Could I offer you a free maple pecan latte today to make up for the inconvenience?" "Karen, I don't want maple pecan. I want pumpkin spice. Check your stockroom again." "Ma'am, I did the inventory myself this morning. We're completely out until tomorrow's delivery." "Karen, then call one of your other locations and have them bring some over." I'm sorry, but all of our locations are experiencing the same shortage. It was a supplier issue." The line behind her was growing, and people were starting to get restless. Karen noticed this and seemed to feed off the audience. "Karen, well then, you need to do something about this. Take down all your pumpkin spice advertising. It's false advertising to promote something you don't have." We'll have it back in stock tomorrow. We can't take down all our seasonal decorations and menu boards for a one-day shortage." "Karen, yes you can, and you should. I'm going to stand right here until you take down every single pumpkin picture in this place." She folded her arms across her chest and planted her feet. The customers behind her started to grumble. Ma'am, if you're not going to order something else, I need to ask you to step aside so we can help the next customer." "Karen, I'm not moving until you reset your entire store. This is false advertising and probably illegal." I took a deep breath. This was escalating beyond the usual difficult customer. Ma'am, please lower your voice. Would you like to speak with the store manager? I can call her." "Karen, yes, call your manager, call the owner, call the CEO. Someone needs to be held accountable for this outrage." I stepped away to call my manager, explaining the situation. While I was on the phone, I heard shouting from the front. Karen had moved to the display case and was pointing at our pumpkin muffins. "Karen, and what about these? Are these really pumpkin flavor, or are you lying about these two?" My coworker Alicia tried to intervene. Alicia, yes, those are real pumpkin muffins. We bake them fresh each morning. Karen, prove it. Let me taste one for free since you lied about having pumpkin spice lattes. When Alicia refused, Karen reached over the counter and tried to grab a muffin herself. Alicia jumped back, startled, as Karen's hand swiped at the display case. My manager said she'd be there in 15 minutes, but this was getting out of hand. Several customers had already left, unwilling to deal with the chaos. Others were filming on their phones, probably hoping to capture the next viral Karen moment. Ma'am, I need to ask you to leave the store now. You're disrupting our business and harassing our staff. Karen, I will not leave. You advertise pumpkin spice and don't have it. That's fraud. It's not fraud. It's a temporary shortage. Please leave now, or I'll have to call the police. Karen, go ahead. Call them. They'll shut this whole place down when they see your false advertising. I hesitated, but she was screaming now, and even knocked over a display of coffee mugs. I had no choice but to call the police. While we waited, Karen continued her tirade, demanding that we take down every autumn decoration and threatening to call the health department, the Better Business Bureau, and apparently her lawyer cousin who specializes in coffee fraud. When 2 police officers arrived 10 minutes later, they tried to reason with her, but Karen doubled down, insisting she was the victim of a vast pumpkin spice conspiracy. Officer, ma'am, you need to leave the premises. The store has the right to refuse service. Karen, they're lying to customers. They have pumpkin pictures everywhere, but no pumpkin spice. The officers exchanged a look that clearly said, "Is this really happening?" Officer, that's not a police matter. If you don't leave voluntarily, we'll have to escort you out. Karen, fine, arrest me. I'll be on the news tonight. Woman arrested for exposing coffee shop fraud. She actually held out her wrist for handcuffs. The officers didn't oblige with cuffs, but they did each take one of her arms and escort her outside as she continued shouting about her rights and pumpkin spice justice. Before they got her to the door, she yelled one last threat. Karen, I'll be back tomorrow, and your pumpkin spice better be here, or else. The officers walked her to her car and made sure she drove away. The whole store broke into spontaneous applause when the police returned to tell us she was gone. My manager arrived just as things were calming down. Having passed the police in the parking lot, she asked what happened, and all I could do was laugh and say, just another day in customer service. But you might want to call the supplier and make sure that pumpkin spice delivery is coming tomorrow. I have a feeling she wasn't kidding about coming back. Sure enough, Karen did return the next day. But by then, our pumpkin spice had been restocked, our manager was on duty, and we had her picture at the register with instructions to call security immediately if she caused any problems. She got her precious pumpkin spice latte without incident, though she made sure to loudly announce to everyone in line that we had tried to scam her the day before. The customers, many of whom had seen the videos that were now circulating online, just stared at her in disbelief. The best part, our location got a sympathy visit from the district manager, who brought us extra staff for the rest of the week and free lunch. Sometimes dealing with Karens has unexpected perks. But seriously, it's just pumpkin spice. It's not worth going to jail over.